The stars looked different from the bridge of the ESS horizon. Captain Dae-ho Kim stood tall, his hands clasped behind his back as he watched the main screen. Earth's first true interstellar ship had traveled farther than any human before. The crew worked quietly at their stations, each focused on their tasks. "Captain, we have something on long-range sensors," said Officer Hana, her voice calm but her eyes wide. Dae-ho walked to her station. "Show me." The screen changed to show a large object moving toward them. It was clearly not natural. The ship was 3 times the size of the horizon, with smooth curves and a faint blue glow around its edges. "It's a ship," Dae-ho said. "And not one of ours." Science Officer Jisoo Park joined them, her tablet in hand. "First contact," she whispered. "We've found them, or they found us." Dae-ho pressed a button on his chair. "All stations, this is the captain. We have made contact with what appears to be an alien vessel. This is not a drill. Ambassador Lee to the bridge. First contact protocols are now in effect." The bridge grew silent. Humans had wondered for centuries if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. Ambassador Taewon Lee arrived minutes later, his formal uniform neat and his face calm. "Captain, what do we know?" "Very little," said Dae-ho. "The ship is approaching at a steady speed. They haven't tried to talk to us yet." As if hearing his words, the main screen flickered. A face appeared that was clearly not human. The being had pale blue skin, large dark eyes, and a small mouth. No hair covered its head, but small ridges ran from its forehead to the back of its skull. "Greetings, vessel from Earth," the alien said in perfect English. "I am High Commander, Fox of the Valkyrie Exploration Fleet. We welcome you to the stars." Taewon stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Taewon Lee of Earth. We are honored to meet you, High Commander Vax. May I ask how you know our language and our origin?" The alien made a gesture that might have been a smile. "We have observed your world for some time, listening to your broadcasts. We find your species interesting." Something in the way Vax said interesting made Dae-ho uneasy. He glanced at Jisoo, who was watching the alien with narrow eyes. "We invite you to dock with our vessel," Vax continued. "We would be pleased to meet face to face." Taewon looked at Dae-ho, who nodded slowly. "We accept your invitation," Taewon said. "Please send docking instructions." After the call ended, Dae-ho called his officers together. "Thoughts?" Jisoo spoke first. "They're herbivores, or they were once. Look at their teeth pattern and jaw structure when they speak. But their eyes, those are the eyes of something that learned to hunt." "You can tell all that from a short call?" asked Taewon. "It's my job to understand alien biology," Jisoo said. "And something feels wrong. They're too smooth, too perfect." "They could just be friendly," said Communications Officer Jun. "Maybe," Dae-ho said. "But we go in careful. Standard security team with the diplomatic party, weapons hidden but ready." 2 hours later, Dae-ho led a small team into the Valkyrie ship. The inside was even more impressive than the outside. The walls glowed with soft light, and the air smelled sweet like flowers. High Commander Vax met them with 4 other Valkyrie. All wore what looked like simple clothes, but Dae-ho noticed small devices on their belts. "Welcome aboard the Stellar Seeker," said Vax. "We are most pleased to meet humans in person." Taewon stepped forward and bowed slightly. "The pleasure is ours, High Commander. We bring greetings from Earth." The Valkyrie led them to a large room with a round table. Food and drinks waited for them, some clearly from Earth. "Please enjoy," said Vax. "We have prepared foods we believe you will find pleasant." As they sat and talked, Jisoo watched the Valkyrie carefully. They moved with grace, but also with strange caution, as if always ready to run. When Dae-ho cut into a piece of meat on his plate, she saw one of the aliens flinch slightly. "Your ship is impressive," Dae-ho said. "How long have your people been traveling among the stars?" "We have explored space for over 2,000 of your years," Vax replied. "We have met many species and brought many into our alliance." "Alliance?" asked Taewon. "What kind of alliance?" "A peaceful one," said Vax quickly. For trade, knowledge, and protection. Protection from what? Deho asked. The universe can be a dangerous place, Captain, said another Valkyrie named Lex. Some species are not as civilized as others. The Yo. Talk continued for hours. The Valkyrie asked many questions about Earth, human biology, and warfare. Taewon answered carefully, not wanting to show all their cards. During a break, Jisoo pulled Daeho and Taewon aside. They're studying us, she whispered. The questions, the way they watch us eat. They seem shocked by our teeth, our talk of meat. I think they're natural herbivores who evolved into a predator role through technology. Why does that matter? Asked Taewon. Because they don't understand us, Jisoo said. Look at their society from what they've told us. Highly ordered. Each person with one clear role. They work as a perfect unit. But humans are messy, creative, adaptive. We're natural omnivores who can think like both prey and predator. Daeho nodded slowly. You think they see us as prey? I think they're trying to figure out what we are, Jisoo replied. And I don't think they like what they're seeing. When the meeting resumed, Daeho paid closer attention to the Valkyrie. He noticed how they seemed confused when Taewon talked about human art, sports, and competition. They didn't understand jokes or why humans would choose to put themselves in danger for fun. At the end of the meeting, Vax presented Taewon with a small device. This will allow us to stay in contact, he said. We would like to arrange a visit to Earth to formally welcome you to the galactic community. We would be honored, Taewon said. I will need to consult with my government, of course. Back. On the horizon, the team met to discuss the meeting. The mood was mixed. Excitement about first contact, but also worry. They're hiding something, Daeho said. All that talk about their alliance and protection. It sounded more like an empire. Did you notice how surprised they were when we talked about our history? Asked Security Chief Song. When we mentioned how humans fight wars, how we keep going even when things look bad? Jisoo nodded. I saw it too. They seemed shocked by our resilience, our adaptability. I think in their world, the strong rule the weak through technology and organization, but they've never met anything like humans before. What do you mean? Asked Taewon. We're dangerous, Jisoo said simply. Not because we're stronger or more advanced, but because we don't give up. We're creative, we adapt, we survive. They don't understand that. So what do we do? Asked Daeho. Taewon looked out the window at the massive Valkyrie ship. We be careful, very careful, because if Jisoo is right, they may see us as easy prey. But if there's one thing Earth doesn't, raise its prey. No, said Daeho, his eyes hard as he watched the alien vessel. Earth breeds predators. 6 weeks after first contact, Major Han Jin Kang stood on the roof of a partly destroyed building in Seoul. The sky above was filled with Valkyrie ships. They had come 3 days ago, without warning. Not as friends, but as conquerors. Report. Han Jin said into his radio. Sir, the aliens have taken the city center, said Lieutenant Park. They have those walking machines, 5 of them. They're rounding up people. Han Jin raised his binoculars. The Valkyrie peacekeepers, as they called themselves, moved in perfect lines. Their walking machines were 3 times the height of a man, with guns mounted on their sides. They're too organized, Han Jin said to himself. Too perfect. His team of 20 Special Forces soldiers was one of the few military units still fighting in Seoul. The Valkyrie attack had been quick and deadly. Many of Earth's satellites were destroyed in the first hour. Major cities were hit next. The aliens had expected humans to surrender after that. They were wrong. Sir, look, said Sergeant Jun, pointing to the east. A group of civilians was moving through the streets, led by a tall man with a hunting rifle. They moved quickly from building to building, keeping out of sight. Who is that? Han Jin asked. Sun Ho. Choi, said Jun. He used to lead hunting trips in the mountains. Now he's leading people to safety. Han Jin watched as Sun Ho's group vanished into a building. Good. We need more people like him. The radio crackled. Major, this is Dr. Yoon. I need to see you. I found something. Dr. Min-hee Yoon was waiting in the basement of an old school that now served as their base. Parts of a Valkyrie weapon were spread on a table in front of her. "What did you find?" Han-jin asked. Min-hee pointed to a small device. "This is from one of their rifles. Look at how it's built. It's made to be perfect, with no room for change or damage. If one part breaks, the whole thing stops working." So it shows how they think," Min-hee said. "They don't adapt. They plan for everything to work perfectly. When something unexpected happens, they struggle to respond." Han-jin thought about the Valkyrie troops he'd watched. That's why they always move in straight lines. Why they follow the same patterns. "Exactly," Min-hee said. "And I found something else." She pointed to another part. "This material is sensitive to heat and vibration, more than it needs to be." Han-jin picked up the piece. "Could we use that?" Min-hee smiled. "I'm already working on it." That night, Han-jin called his team together. "The Valkyrie think this war is already won," he said. "They expected us to give up after they took our big cities. They don't understand humans." "What's the plan, sir?" asked Lieutenant Park. "We change the rules," Han-jin said. "They want order. We give them chaos. They expect us to fight like an army. We fight like hunters." He pointed to a map of Seoul. "They patrol these streets at the same time every day. They use the same routes. They're predictable." "We set traps," said Sergeant Jun, understanding. "Yes," Han-jin said. "And we learn from Sun-ho and the civilians. They know this city better than we do, better than the aliens do." The next day, Han-jin met with Sun-ho Choi and his group. The hunter's eyes were hard, but his voice was calm. "My people know how to move without being seen," Sun-ho said. "We've been watching the aliens. They can't see well in low light, and they hate loud noises." Dr. Yoon found the same thing, Han-jin said. "Their weapons are sensitive to vibration and heat." Sun-ho nodded. "We can use that. I was a hunter before this. Now the aliens are my prey." Together they made a plan. It wasn't a military plan with fancy words and strict orders. It was a hunting plan. Simple, smart, deadly. That night, Han-jin's soldiers joined Sun-ho's civilians. They placed small devices that Dr. Yoon had made along the Valkyrie patrol routes. The devices made high-pitched sounds and heat that humans couldn't feel, but the Valkyrie could. The next morning, they watched from hiding spots as the Valkyrie patrol entered the trap area. The aliens suddenly stopped, looking confused. Their perfect line broke as they turned in circles, trying to find the source of the sounds only they could hear. "Now," Han-jin said into his radio. From all sides, humans attacked. Not in a straight line or with big weapons, but from shadows, from above, from places the Valkyrie never thought to check. They didn't try to beat the aliens with power. They used surprise and knowledge of the land. In 10 minutes, the Valkyrie patrol was gone, and the humans had new weapons. Han-jin's radio came to life. "Sir, they're sending reinforcements, a lot of them." "Fall back," Han-jin ordered. "This was just a test. Now we know it works." Over the next week, similar attacks happened all over Seoul, then in other cities around the world. Humans didn't try to take back land. They struck fast, then disappeared. They set traps. They used the Valkyries, order and predictability against them. The Valkyrie commander, High General Vax, was not pleased. He stood in his ship above Earth, looking at reports of losses. "How is this happening?" he demanded. "They are primitive, unorganized. They should have surrendered by now." His second-in-command, Sub-General Lex, looked worried. "They don't fight like any species we've conquered before. They don't follow patterns or rules. Each group seems to fight differently. They're animals," Vax said. "Nothing more." "Animals don't set traps," Lex said quietly. "Animals don't adapt this quickly." Vax turned to the window, looking down at Earth. "Increase our forces. Destroy more of their cities. They will learn to obey." Back in Seoul, Han-jin met with others from around the city. More groups had joined their fight. Dr. Min-hee Yoon had made progress with the alien technology. I can now disable their walking machines, she said, showing a new device. Not for long, but enough to cause problems. Good, Han Jin said. Because they're bringing more. The door opened and a messenger ran in. Sir, the Valkyrie are bombing the eastern part of the city. They're not even checking for their own troops first. Han Jin's face hardened. They're getting desperate. They expected an easy win. Now they're showing their true nature. What do we do? Asked Sun Ho. We keep fighting, Han Jin said, and we get a message to other cities, other countries. The Valkyrie have a weakness now. Us, humans. Later that night, as Han Jin looked out over the damaged city, Dr. Min Hee joined him. Will it be enough? She asked. We're still so outmatched. Han Jin watched as a group of people moved supplies through the dark streets below. None of them were soldiers, but all were now fighters in their own way. The Valkyrie made a mistake, he said. They thought we would be easy prey. They thought we would give up when things got hard. Distant explosions lit up the sky as the Valkyrie continued their attack, but for each bomb they dropped, more humans joined the fight. Earth doesn't raise prey, Han Jin said. It breeds predators, and the Valkyrie are about to learn that the hard way. 6 months had passed since the Valkyrie invasion began. What they had planned as a quick conquest had turned into a long, difficult fight. Admiral Jae-sung Kwon stood in the underground command center near what was once Busan. Maps on the wall showed the current state of Earth. Large red areas marked Valkyrie control, but the green areas, showing human resistance, were growing. Report, Jae-sung said to the officers around the table. The Valkyrie have lost 3 more ships this week, said Colonel Park. Their ground forces are pulling back from smaller cities to protect their main bases. Jae-sung nodded. It wasn't a big victory, but it was progress. When the world's governments had collapsed in the first month of invasion, he had helped form the Earth Defense Force. At first, it was just military units that had survived the initial attack. Now, it included millions of civilians who had learned to fight. And our new weapons? Jae-sung asked. Engineer Yoon-ji Cho stepped forward. 6 months ago, she had been designing bridges. Now she led the team reverse engineering Valkyrie technology. The modified pulse rifles are ready, Yoon-ji said. They use the Valkyrie's own energy cells, but with our firing systems. They can't track them like they can their own weapons. She placed a small device on the table. And this jams their communications. It makes them hear orders that were never given. Jae-sung picked up the device. Good work. How many can you make? With the factories we've hidden in the mountains? Thousands by next month. The door opened, and Scout Sang Min-oh entered. Before the invasion, he had been an Olympic runner. Now he led the teams that moved between human territories, gathering information and delivering supplies. Admiral, Sang Min said, my team just returned from the northern sector. The Valkyrie are building something big near the old capital. He spread photos on the table. They showed a massive structure. What is it? Jae-sung asked. We think it's a long-range communications tower, Sang Min said. One of our people got close enough to hear the Valkyrie talking. They're calling for help. The room went quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. More Valkyrie ships. More troops. More weapons. How long? Jae-sung asked. The tower will be finished. In 2 weeks, Sang Min said. Once it's working, their message will reach their homeworld in days. Jae-sung looked at the map again. Then we have 2 weeks to stop them. Later that day, Jae-sung called together his top officers and advisors. They needed a plan, and they needed it now. We can't attack directly, said Colonel Park. They have too many troops guarding the tower. And we can't use our planes, said Air Commander Lee. Their air defenses are too strong. Sang Min looked at the map. There's a way, he said. Underground. He pointed to old subway tunnels that ran near the tower site. My scouts found that these tunnels are still open. The Valkyrie don't use them because they're too narrow for their walking machines. Yoon-ji studied the map. If we could get close enough, I could place charges at key points, bring the whole tower down. It would take a small team, Jae-sung said. Fast, quiet, and ready to fight if needed. I'll lead it, Sang Min said. My Scouts know those tunnels better than anyone. Yunji nodded. I'll go too, the charges have to be placed exactly right. Over the next week, they prepared. Kunji designed special explosives that would look like parts of the tower to Valkyrie scanners. Sangmin trained his team in the maze of tunnels. Jae-sung coordinated with resistance groups around the world to create distractions. The night before the mission, Jae-sung found Yunji working late in her lab. You should rest, he said. Yunji looked up from the device she was building. I'll rest when we win, she said, or when I'm dead. Jae-sung sat beside her. 6 months ago you were a civilian. Now you're about to go behind enemy lines. We're all soldiers now, Yunji said. The Valkyrie made sure of that. She held up the device she was working on. This will block their sensors for 30 seconds. It's all we'll have to get from the tunnel exit to the tower base. It will be enough, Jae-sung said. It has to be. The next night, Sangmin led his team through the dark tunnels. Yunji was with them, carrying her devices. They moved silently, using hand signals when needed. Years of running competitions had made Sangmin's body strong. Months of scouting behind enemy lines had made his mind sharp. They reached the end of the tunnel. Above them, through a broken grate, they could see the bottom of the tower. Valkyrie guards walked in perfect patterns around it. Ready? Sangmin whispered to Yunji. She nodded, holding up the sensor-blocking device. 30 seconds. Starting. Now. She pressed a button, and the device glowed blue. Sangmin pushed open the grate and they climbed out, running low to the ground. They reached the base of the tower, and Yunji quickly placed her charges at specific points she had identified from the photos. 20 seconds, she whispered. The team was halfway back to the tunnel when a Valkyrie guard turned early, breaking the pattern they had observed for days. It saw them and raised its weapon. Sangmin didn't hesitate. He sprinted forward, faster than the alien could track, and tackled it to the ground. The guard's weapon fired into the air, alerting others. Run! Sangmin shouted to his team as he fought with the guard. The team made it back to the tunnel, but Sangmin was caught in the open as more guards appeared. Yunji reached for the detonator. We have to wait for him, one of the scouts said. Yunji's hand shook. We can't. The mission comes first. He knows that. Sangmin saw them watching from the tunnel. He gave one nod, then turned and ran, not toward them but away, drawing the guards after him. Yunji pressed the detonator. The charges exploded, perfectly timed and placed. The tower collapsed in on itself, falling away from the tunnel entrance. The ground shook with the impact. In the confusion, Sangmin disappeared into the darkness. Back at the command center the next day, Jae-sung received the news. The tower was destroyed. The mission was a success, but Sangmin was missing. We'll find him, Yunji said. He's too smart to get caught. Before Jae-sung could respond, the door burst open and a communications officer ran in. Sir, we've intercepted a Valkyrie transmission. You need to hear this. He played the recording. It was the voice of High General Vax, speaking to his commanders. The humans have destroyed our main communication array. Their resistance grows stronger each day. They do not fight like any species we have encountered before. They adapt. They learn. They use our strengths against us. There was a pause. Then Vax continued, his voice colder. These are not the simple prey we expected. These are evolved predators. And we have awakened them. Jae-sung looked around the room, at the faces of humans who had learned to fight back against a technologically superior enemy. He's right, Jae-sung said. They came here thinking we would be easy to conquer, that we would bow down before their advanced weapons. He pointed to the map where green areas of human control now surrounded the red Valkyrie strongholds. But Earth doesn't raise prey, he said. It breeds predators. And now the predator is fully awake. 1 year into the invasion, Earth had changed. Cities lay in ruins, but humans had not given up. Instead, they had learned, adapted, and grown stronger. General Hyun Woo-baek stood in the new Global Command Center, hidden deep in the Rocky Mountains of North America. Around him, officers from countries that once fought each other now worked together against a common enemy. The Valkyrie are pulling back from these areas, Hyunwoo said, pointing to spots on the digital map. They're gathering their forces at their main bases. His second-in-command, Colonel Ryu, nodded. They've lost too many troops trying to control the countryside. Now they're trying to hold what they have left. It was a sign that the tide was turning. Slowly, painfully, but surely. Humanity had survived the initial shock of the invasion. Then they had learned to resist. Now they were beginning to fight back. What about our space forces? Hyunwoo asked. Commander Moon reports they're ready, said Colonel Ryu. The first fleet launches tomorrow. Pilot Jinna Moon had never thought she would fly in space. Before the invasion, she had been an Air Force pilot. Now she stood in a hangar built inside a mountain, looking at her new ship. It was smaller than the massive Valkyrie vessels, but it was fast and deadly. Is it ready? She asked the engineer beside her. As ready as it can be, he replied. The engines are Valkyrie tech we modified. The weapons are ours but powered by their energy cells. Jinna ran her hand along the ship's side. Humans had learned much in the past year. They had studied every piece of Valkyrie technology they could capture. They had built their own versions, sometimes better than the originals. And the fleet? She asked. 30 ships like this one, the engineer said. Not enough to take on their main fleet, but enough to hurt them. Jinna nodded. That's all we need to do. Hurt them. Show them we can reach them anywhere. While Jinna prepared her fleet, another battle was being fought far from Earth. Diplomat Bomi Shin sat across from an alien who was not Valkyrie. This alien had green skin and 4 eyes. It was called a Grixian, and its people had been conquered by the Valkyrie long before they came to Earth. The Valkyrie told us they were bringing peace, Bomi said. They told us the same lie they told you. The Grixian, whose name was Zant, looked nervous. The Valkyrie are strong. They have ruled our world for centuries. But they're not as strong as they once were, Bomi said. They're losing on Earth. They never expected us to fight back so effectively. She placed a small device on the table. It showed images of Valkyrie ships being destroyed by human forces, of Valkyrie troops retreating from human cities. We've learned their weaknesses, Bomi continued. They can't adapt quickly, they can't think creatively, and they can't understand why we keep fighting when we should, by their logic, have given up long ago. Zant's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. What do you want from us? Information, Bomi said. And when the time comes, help. Back on Earth, General Hyunwoo was putting the final touches on a plan that had been months in the making. It was called Operation Predator's Trap, and it would be their biggest strike against the Valkyrie yet. The Valkyrie always follow patterns, Hyunwoo explained to his officers. They think in straight lines. When attacked, they respond in predictable ways. He pointed to a large Valkyrie base on the map. This is their main command center in the Eastern Hemisphere. It controls all their forces in that region. We're going to make them think we're attacking it. But we're not? Asked Colonel Ryu. No, Hyunwoo said with a small smile. We're going to make them move their forces exactly where we want them. The next day, human forces launched what appeared to be a major attack on the Valkyrie base. Fighter jets and ground troops hit the base's outer defenses hard. The Valkyrie responded exactly as Hyunwoo had predicted. They called in reinforcements from other bases, creating a massive force to crush the human attack. But the humans pulled back before the reinforcements arrived. The Valkyrie, confused by this retreat, held their position, waiting for the humans to return. They didn't realize they had fallen into a trap. High above Earth, Jinna Moon and her fleet of ships reached orbit. Their target was not the Valkyrie fleet guarding the planet. Instead, they aimed for something else. The main Valkyrie communication satellite that linked all their forces on Earth. All ships prepare to attack, Jinna said into her radio. Remember, we only have one shot at this. The human ships, built with modified Valkyrie technology, appeared on the Valkyrie scanners as their own ships. By the time the Valkyrie realized something was wrong, it was too late. Jinna's fleet opened fire on the communication satellite. Direct. Hit, shouted her weapons officer. The satellite is breaking apart. On Earth, the effect was immediate. Valkyrie forces, suddenly cut off from their central command, fell into confusion. They could still communicate locally, but the unified control that made them so effective was gone. That was when the real human attack began. Not at the base where the Valkyrie had gathered their forces, but at dozens of smaller bases now left, with minimal defenses. Human troops, using tactics that no Valkyrie commander could predict, struck from all directions at once. In the diplomatic station where Bomi was meeting with representatives from other species conquered by the Valkyrie, news of the attack spread quickly. "The humans have disabled the Valkyrie command network," Zant the Grixian told Bomi. "It's something no one has ever managed before." "Will your people help us now?" Bomi asked. Zant hesitated, then nodded. "Some will, perhaps many. The Valkyrie have ruled through fear for too long." Back in the command center, General Hunwu watched as reports came in from around the world. Human forces were taking back cities and towns. The Valkyrie, their perfect organization shattered, were struggling to respond. "Sir," said Colonel Ryu, "we're getting a transmission. It's from the Valkyrie High Command. They're requesting to speak with Earth's leaders." Hyunwoo's eyes narrowed. "Put them through." The screen lit up with the face of High General Vax. The Valkyrie leader looked different now. The calm superiority was gone, replaced with tension and something Hyunwoo recognized: fear. "We wish to discuss terms," Vax said. "This conflict has gone on long enough." "You mean you're losing?" Hyunwoo replied. Vax's face hardened. "We still have forces that could destroy your entire planet." "But you won't," Hyunwoo said. "Because you now know something you didn't understand when you came here. You know what humans really are." "And what is that?" Vax asked. "We're not the prey you thought we were," Hyunwoo said. "Earth doesn't raise prey. It breeds predators, and now the predator is hunting you." The message ended and Hyunwoo turned to his officers. "Prepare for the next phase. They're not surrendering yet, but they're afraid. Now we show them why." As Gina's fleet returned to Earth, as Bomi continued to build alliances with other species, as human forces pushed forward around the globe, the truth was becoming clear to everyone, including the Valkyrie. The tide had turned. The predator was now the prey. 18 months after the invasion began, humans were no longer fighting just to survive. They were fighting to win. Fleet Commander Jun-Ho Seo stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Defiance, the largest vessel humans had ever built. It combined Earth technology with what they had learned from the Valkyrie. Around the Defiance, 50 smaller ships moved in formation. "Status report," Jun-Ho said to his officers. "All systems ready, Commander," said his second-in-command. "The fleet is in position." Jun-Ho nodded. What they were about to do had never been attempted before. They were taking the fight to the Valkyrie homeworld. "Send the message to Earth," Jun-Ho ordered. Operation Predator's hunt has begun. On Earth, in the Global Command Center, General Hyunwoo received the message. "They're on their way," he told the leaders gathered around him. "Now we wait." Among those leaders was scientist Ye-Jin Nam. Once a medical researcher, she now led the team that had developed a new weapon against the Valkyrie. Not a weapon to kill, but one to disable. "Will it work?" Hyunwoo asked her. "The tests were successful," Ye-Jin said. "The compound affects their nervous system, specifically their sensory organs. It will make it impossible for them to fight effectively." "And it won't kill them?" "No. It's temporary, painful but not deadly." Hyunwoo nodded. "Good. This isn't about revenge. It's about ending the war." Next to Ye-Jin sat diplomat Dong-Hyun Kang. He had spent months working with Bomi Shin, meeting with representatives from other species that the Valkyrie had conquered. "How many have joined us?" Hyunwoo asked him. 7 species so far, Dong-Hyun replied. "Not all fighting, but all providing information, sabotaging Valkyrie operations, when they can. Will it be enough?" Dong-Hyun's face was serious. "It has to be. In space, the Earth fleet traveled faster than humans had ever moved before. The ships used a modified version of Valkyrie drive technology, improved by human engineers. Jun-ho spent much of the journey studying maps of the Valkyrie system and going over the plan again and again. The Valkyrie have never been attacked in their home system, he told his officers. They won't expect us to come to them. They'll have defenses, said his weapons officer. Yes, but those defenses are designed to stop enemies they've fought before. Enemies that think like they do. Jun-ho pointed to the map. We won't attack like they expect. We'll attack like humans. After 2 weeks of travel, the Earth fleet reached the edge of the Valkyrie system. Ahead of them lay 5 planets orbiting a yellow star. The third planet was the Valkyrie homeworld. Sensors detect multiple ships in orbit around the planet, reported the sensor officer. Defense platforms too. As expected, Jun-ho said. Move us into position, but keep us hidden behind the 4th planet. The Earth fleet slipped into the shadow of a gas giant, where the Valkyrie sensors couldn't detect them. From there, Jun-ho launched small, unmanned probes toward the Valkyrie world. The probes were designed to look like space debris, nothing, that would trigger alarms. Now we see what we're dealing with, Jun-ho said. The probe sent back detailed information about the Valkyrie defenses. Jun-ho and his team studied it carefully, looking for weaknesses. They found several. Their defense grid has gaps, Jun-ho said. Small ones, but enough for our fastest ships to slip through. And once we're through? Asked his second-in-command. We deploy Yejin's weapon, then open communications. This ends today one way or another. The attack began not with a massive battle, but with stealth. 5 small Earth ships, the fastest in the fleet, slipped through the gaps in the Valkyrie defense grid. They carried Yejin's weapon and Donghyun's message. The Valkyrie detected the ships only when they entered the atmosphere. By then, it was too late. The ships released Yejin's compound into the air above the Valkyrie capital city. Within minutes, Valkyrie soldiers and civilians alike were affected. They couldn't see clearly. Their hearing became painfully sensitive. Their perfect coordination fell apart. As the compound took effect, the rest of the Earth fleet appeared. Not attacking, but taking position around the planet. A clear message. We could destroy you, but we choose not to. Jun-ho opened a channel to the Valkyrie High Command. This is Fleet Commander Jun-ho, CO of Earth. Your defenses have been compromised. Your troops are disabled. We are here to end this war. For a long moment there was no response. Then the screen lit up with the face of High General Vax. The Valkyrie leader looked shocked and in pain from the effects of Yejin's compound. How did you reach our world? Vax demanded. How did you get past our defenses? The same way we survived your invasion, Jun-ho replied. By thinking differently than you expected, by adapting, by being what we are. Diplomat Donghyun stepped forward. We are not here to destroy you, though we could. We are here to offer terms. Terms? Vax seemed unable to comprehend that humans were dictating terms to the Valkyrie. Yes, Donghyun said. First, you will withdraw all forces from Earth immediately. Second, you will free all species you have conquered and establish a new alliance based on equality, not domination. Third, you will help repair the damage you have caused to our world. Vax's face showed anger, then fear, then finally understanding. And if we refuse? Jun-ho responded. Then we will do what predators do when threatened. But that is not what we want. Unlike you, we don't seek to conquer. We seek to live in peace, but we will fight if we must. In the hours that followed, the Valkyrie agreed to the terms. They had no choice. Humans had done what no species had ever done before, taken the fight to the heart of the Valkyrie Empire and won. As the Earth fleet prepared to return home, Jun-ho received messages from planets across the Valkyrie Empire. Species that had been conquered centuries ago were rising up, inspired by what humans had done. We've changed the galaxy, Donghyun said. For the better, I hope. 3 months later, on Earth, the leaders of humanity gathered to welcome representatives from dozens of alien species. Among them were the Valkyrie, no longer conquerors but equals. General Hyun-woo, now serving on the New Earth Council, watched as diplomat Dong Hyun signed treaties with species humans hadn't known existed 2 years ago. "Did you ever think we'd end up here?" asked Ye Jin, standing beside him. "When the invasion began?" "No," Hyunwoo admitted. "But I knew we'd survive. Humans always do." In a quiet corner of the meeting hall, a Valtheri historian spoke with Bomi Shin. The alien's voice was thoughtful as it recorded their conversation. "We made a fundamental error in our understanding of your species," the historian said. "We saw your technological limitations and assumed you were primitive. We saw your divisions and thought you were weak." "A natural mistake," Bomi replied. "Many on Earth made the same assumptions about each other before you came. We believed that a species either evolved as prey or predator," the historian continued. "We were once prey, but rose to predator status through technology and organization. We thought humanity was prey that had simply not yet been hunted," Bomi smiled. "That was your biggest mistake. Earth doesn't raise prey, it breeds predators. But predators who have learned that there are better ways to use their strength than conquest." The historian made a final note in its record. "Humanity taught the galaxy an important lesson. They weren't prey that got lucky. They were predators who learned compassion without losing their edge. And that perhaps is the most formidable combination of all."